It's cold. It's currently 17 degrees and we're supposed to get anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of snow tomorrow. That means that the schools are going to be closed, businesses aren't open, and my favorite Mexican restaurant is probably going to be closed. All those variables added up together, thank God I have a hobby that keeps me outside the house. So for the first time on this channel, we're actually going to build a fire. I'm going to be bringing my Weber kettle out, and we're going to be cooking some pork. We're going to cook 2 different dishes. We're going to cook some chicharrones, and we're going to make some shredded or pulled pork, whatever you want to call it. And we're looking for something that I like to eat at my favorite Mexican restaurant, Conchinita, Pibil. Look it up. It's delicious. If your Mexican restaurant doesn't serve this type of pork, find another restaurant. This is going to be a 2-day process. Today, we make the marinade, and then we let it sit in the fridge overnight for 24 hours, or you could probably just leave it outside and it'll be fine. And then tomorrow, we wake up, we cook. Let's do this.
So take a screenshot for shopping purposes, but the ingredients are 1 whole bulb of garlic, kosher salt, 1 3-inch canela stick, basically cinnamon, some meNyou seeds. These things look really cool. Mexican oregano, we've got some whole cloves, black peppercorns, whole cumin seeds. Pick them up, smell them, they're delicious. Allspice berries, water, vinegar, grapefruit, orange, and lime juices. The first step in making this marinade is we're going to char the garlic. We're going to take the whole bulb and we're going to break it down into individual cloves, leaving the skin on and heating it over high heat. If it's your first time doing this, I suggest using a medium-high heat instead of a high heat. But after about 5 minutes, this is what you're going to get. And with the skins removed, you can just set them to the side. For the next step in making the marinade, I want to use a stainless steel skillet because this stuff stains. So to the boiling water, we're going to add our meNyou seeds, the oregano, the whole cloves, black peppercorns, cumin seeds, and allspice berries. Finish it up with the rest of the water. Now that all the ingredients are combined, we want to take our spatula and we want to start moving this around until all of the water is almost evaporated. As this clip goes along, you can see where the bottom of the pan starts to turn red, which is why I suggested using stainless steel. And after about 5 minutes, this is what it looks like. So we'll just take it and place it over the top of our garlic cloves that we just previously charred, and it looks like what you used to find on the back of your grandmother's toilet. To finish the marinade, we're going to take either a blender or a food processor, and we're going to combine everything that we just did with the canela stick, the grapefruit juice, the orange juice, the lime juice, and also the white distilled vinegar. And we're going to finish it off with around 4 tablespoons of kosher salt. And we want to blend this on high until the canela stick isn't so violently jumping around on the inside of your container. This is a consistency that we're going for. Now's the time to showcase your cutting skills because today we're going to be breaking down a skin-on pork belly. Number 1 rule in the kitchen, cleanliness is next to godliness. So before I take this out of the package, I want to wipe off as much liquid from the protein as I possibly can. Then I'm going to lay down 2 paper towels. So when I remove this long cut of meat, I can lay one end down on a paper towel, pick it up, and there's another one right up under it. So when I flip, cleanup is minimal. So for today's recipe and cooking method, we're only going to be focusing on the center portion of the pork belly. After we've divided the center section of the pork belly into 2 pieces, the first thing that we're going to start doing is we're going to start making our chicharrones. And what I'm doing here is I'm just placing a marker of where I want my big knife to slice. I'm not slicing all the way through. I just want to initially score the meat, because I want the majority of the work to be done with my thinner, more flexible boning knife. It works really good cutting through the pork skin because, as you will see, yeah, it's a little bit of a work. So have you a steel handy? And no, this doesn't create shavings. I'm not putting shavings over the meat. And yeah, like butter. So once you have one section sliced, you want to take something pointy but safe, and I like to use a chopstick. And what we're going to do is through each of the slices, we're going through the meat section, poking a hole all the way through. This is going to allow for better penetration of the marinade. And once all the slices are complete, the next thing we're going to work on is the slab that we're going to be using for the tacos. And we're going to have to do this a little bit differently because we can't push all the way through the skin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and poke holes about 1 inch apart all the way through the top, and then I'm going to turn it on its side, and I'm going to go through the meat section with the chopstick just like I did on the chicharrones. Storing method for the meat and the marinade, we're going to vacuum seal. And we're going to use separate bags because how we're going to treat each cut is going to be completely different with different cooking times. So now that we have our pork belly bagged to our liking, what we're going to do is we're going to take the marinade and we're going to place half of it in one bag and half of it in the other bag. Then we're going to take and use a spatula and smooth it out as much as we can on top of each of the cuts. Give it some love tappy taps for good measure, and for 24 hours, we rest in the fridge until today we're using the Weber kettle with the 2-zone setup. I've got my cold side and I've got my cool side where I'm going to place my meat. To light, as I always do, I'm going to take 2 tumbleweeds, light them on fire, and stick them to one side. Once this is done, I want to get my temperature gauge set up. So I want to cook between 275 and 300. So my high alarm is going to be at 325. My low alarm is going to be at 250. For proper airflow and temperature readings, make sure that when you place the lid on your exhaust vent is opposite of your coal basket. As soon as the cook chamber is around 225 degrees, we want to go ahead and install our meat probe. And after we placed our meat on the grill and we've ensured that all of our probes are properly connected, now's a good time to where we want to start checking back our vents, because in about an hour, this is what you're going to get maintained at 275. Use little less than half the charcoal in the coal basket, and we're looking good so far. After another 40 to 45 minutes, we're at 160 degrees internal temp on our pork belly. You can see we've got good fat render, nothing's burning. The marinade is protecting the top layer of the meat, so we're gonna wrap. And while we're in the wrap phase, I'm gonna take a deep fryer and I'm gonna get it up to 325 degrees so we can start dropping these chicharrones in. Now you'll notice they look a little bit different because I've washed all the marinade off because I didn't want any of it burning in the deep fryer. 5 to 8 minutes later, depending on the thickness, this is what you've got. Make some homemade guac in advance. Dig in. Crispy, chewy, seasoned very well, so good. And after a 10-minute rest, after we reach 206 degrees, this is what our pork belly looks like for our shredded tacos. And I'm not straining this to discard it. I want to keep this fat because I want to use it for flavoring in just a little bit. Grab your trusty bench scraper and begin to remove all the dried marinade that the cooking process has left behind. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on the top meat. Remove all the unrendered fat. Once the fat's gone, let the pulling begin. It's so juicy. Once the top meat's been separated out, we're now going to remove the bottom section of fat and meat from the skin of the pork belly. And when it's cooked properly, it separates so easy. There's about a 1/4 inch of fat that's surrounding the meat. This is where we use the chopstick to poke through the meat, and it comes out so stringy and delicious. This is the best part of any hog ever. Take a flour tortilla, the meat, which has also been mixed with some of the fat that just rendered, little table cream, some pickled onions, little jalapeno, and there you go. Enjoy. Later.